Hi again, everybody. Thank you again for being with us. First of all, a couple of announcements and then a couple of stupid Cupid jokes and then into the meat of the matter. Announcement wise, on February 2 and 3, I may have mentioned it last week, but the series The Chosen, with which I'm sure most of you are familiar. The last two episodes of Series 3, episodes 7 and 8, are going to be previewed in the select theaters, and our MJR in Waterford is one of those theaters. And the dates for that, before it comes to TV, as a matter of fact, are February 2, Thursday, and Friday, February 3, two times on each of those dates, 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock p.m. I think they're $10 a ticket. You can order them even now if you want to go online for them. But some people in the parish will be going to the movie together if you'd like to go with them. I'm not sure which one I'm going to yet, but call the parish office and let them know you're interested, and they'll direct you to a connecting party, so to speak, here in the parish. Let me see any other. Oh, yes. Also, call the office by next Friday, the 3rd, if you are at all interested in having your marriage blessed. You are celebrating a significant wedding anniversary this year. Again, like 5 years, 15 years, 25, and anything over 60. We're glad just to have you walking about with us, but we want to celebrate you. Please call the office, let them know your anniversary date, and if possible, get a photo to the office of you and your spouse. Thank you very much. On to Stupid Cupid. How, I don't know if I did this last week or not, but how do you save money on Valentine's Day gifts? Become single. Well, I think I used that one last week. Probably wasn't too funny now that I think of it. But my second one is better, even. What's a good recipe for Valentine's Day morning? A hug and a quiche. Isn't that good? Okay. Enough of all of that. Now, the gospel for this coming Sunday is the Beatitudes, but all three readings seem to lend themselves toward taking care of, being concerned about God's poor, justice and mercy shown to the needy. I've had it said more than once that I have a rather eclectic group of friends. Um, I'm always a little suspect of what that means, but I know usually what people mean anyway. All kinds of friends from all walks of life. And many of my friends are, if you will, quirky, um, or, of course, like myself, odd and yes, sinful. Um, they're, sidekicks of mine. And I think of Jesus with the Beatitudes, and all those Beatitudes really speak, starting with the first one, blessed are the poor, and poor in spirit. They really speak to people who are, if you will, falling out of order with the social circle around us, with the world at least. And I fancy that a lot of my friends are that way. Um, they're quirky sometimes because they're virtuous. And the virtues of the Beatitudes, the meekness and the humility and the poverty of heart and peacemaking and so on, those are not popular items among worldly people. And God has blessed me with any number of these folks through my lifetime to keep me going to this point now in life, where I am surrounded by a lot of wonderful people whom especially in our old age, we might be accused of, again, all the more of the quirky, stepping out of order kind of thing, as we older people oftentimes are prone to do. We figure, what the heck, this age and stage of my life, I can get away with it. I can say it. I can do it. I don't have to shave every day. Maybe I don't even have to shower every day. We can get away with it. And we do. And there's a certain joy to that. But not only that, I find that a lot of older people have truly grown virtuously old. Grown old, well, the expression again is gracefully. Growing old gracefully. That doesn't mean necessarily that you don't have the physical problems and the emotional problems, and that you don't lose it once in a while. But basically, you have become a grace-filled person. And I tell you, some of my parishioners, some of our parishioners, really put me to shame. So of course, I ain't so young myself, to come to think of it. But we do feel young-spirited when we practice work at those Beatitudes. They're not just, as we may have shared in the past, they're not just suggestions. They are, in a sense, the new commandments. They don't replace, but they enhance and brace, if you will, the old commandments. But they are commands of Christ that we live this way. And if my friends happen to be quirky in the fashion of, loving the downtrodden, or making friends with people who are not always on the, how shall we say, the acceptable or PC side of the picture, God bless the friends, and God bless the people we befriend. Oftentimes I find that the people of the Beatitudes, especially the poverty of spirit that God speaks of in our scriptures this weekend, oftentimes they're the most generous, the kindest, and most joyful people to know. And again, hence the reason I love so many of people my age, but not just my age, of my sometimes strangeness. Our strangeness, if it's done with a smile especially, can really be not only acceptable, but lovable. So if you are among my friends, I don't want you to be looking at yourself and saying, oh, I'm one of those strange ones in his assortment of close people. Most of them are like me. We have something wrong with us. That's why we get along so well. I think as we get older and we can accept that weakness, the foibles of being feeble, if you will, we can laugh a lot and find ourselves acceptable in and among any group of people. That was true of Jesus, though he was, of course, a third of the age of many of us. But he had friends that were really not always on the up and up. I mean, Peter had his problems. Judas was chosen by Jesus to be a friend, not to be a traitor. Matthew, the tax collector, with his problems. Zacchaeus, the short one, the sinner. The adulterous woman, Mary Magdalene. My goodness, these people were sinners, socially unacceptable. Oftentimes, they were sick people, crippled people. Jesus shouldn't be with them, but they were his faves. And I know that God says he doesn't have favorites, but he does. He really does. He really takes to us weirdos. He takes us all the way to heaven. I leave you with two stories, little stories about people who are on that, offside. This fellow goes to the doctor, and I'm sure some of you have heard this, and he says, Doc, I really have problems. He said, I can't sleep at night. He said, I dream, if I do sleep, I dream that I'm either a wigwam or a teepee. And the doctor said, well, I know what's wrong with you. What? He says, you're just too tense. That's one of your special friends, I hope. And finally, the receptionist says to the fellow in the waiting room, hang on, I have to go and see the doctor about you. She goes in and she says, Doc, there's a man out there who says he's invisible. And the doctor says, tell him I can't see him right now. Bye.